Okay, for our next app, we're going to build on what we did in the previous example and build a coin flip application. So what this will do is allow the user to select on a button, and it will randomly show us a heads or tails image. So what I'm going to do here is just delete this current app, and we'll build it from scratch. We can delete the app this way. Go back to our Anvil homepage, click blank app, click material design, and we're going to drag an image widget onto form 1, and we're going to drag a button widget. I'm going to change some of the properties of that button widget so it says flip, and we're going to make the role of that image primary color. Okay, and so what we want to do here is have the user click on the flip button, and for each time the user clicks, we want a random image to be placed in the image widget. So I'm going to select the click event for the button widget. And another way to do that is to simply double click on the button widget. We'll expand this code view. And in order to make this go a little faster, I'm going to switch back over to the Python Anvil website. And the first thing we're going to do is grab these Python libraries. So we're going to import the random library and the time library from the standard Python library. And we're going to put those up here with the other default imports that are inserted by the Anvil IDE by default. And now for our button 1 click event handler, first thing we're going to do is get the URLs of a couple images. So I've got these 2 images. If you put these URLs directly into a browser, you'll see each of these is the URL of an image. So just to demonstrate that, we get this image. It's a coin with a little bit of a gray background. So I'm going to copy this list. This is a normal Python list structure, just holding those 2 URLs. And we'll give that list to a variable that we'll call coins. So now coins now represents that list of URLs. And we're going to use the random library to assign another variable, a random choice from that list. So in the Python standard library, we have this random library, and one of the functions in the random library is choice. We're going to pass to that function choice from the coins library. You can see Anvil is helping us autocomplete all this. And then what we're going to do is, just like in the previous app, we're going to use the URL media function, Anvil's URL media function, to get the image from that URL, and we're going to assign it to the source property of the image 1 widget. So self dot, and it gives us a list, an autocomplete list of objects on the page. Image 1, we want to set that source to be equal to the image at the random URL. We're using URL media to get that image. When we run, click on the flip button, and that code is run. Now you notice a little bit of an issue here. When I click on flip, if I have the same image, you can't really tell that it's been flipped because it just stays there on screen. It happens so fast. Also, we got this sort of gray background on a lighter colored form 1 screen. So what I'm going to do here, first of all, is adjust the background color. I'm going to go down to properties. for this image widget. And I'm going to go into the appearance property, and I'm going to make the background of that property gray, so it matches the background of the images that we've downloaded. And so I'm going to select red, green, and blue values of 200 that will match the image background. So now we've got a nice background, gray background for the image widget. And what we'll do here is, again, I'm going to double click now on this button, which is the same thing as going down to the click event and selecting the click event. And we're going to edit this a bit more. And so the first thing we're going to do is we want the old image to disappear, and then we want a second before the new image appears. That way it's clear to the user that a new image is appearing. So I'm going to go self image one, and we're going to set the source for that to be none. And since this is Python, we need a capital, a none. And then what I'm going to do next is use that library that we imported, the time library, to pause for a second. So time. You can see this code over here if you want to follow along in the tutorial. Anything that you're not sure about in the Python code, you can get in this tutorial. It explains all of the little details of each line of code in the tutorial. So if any of this isn't familiar to you, if you're not familiar with Python, just follow along with the tutorial. It'll explain every single detail about how each of these lines works. So we're going to do time. We're going to use the sleep function from the time library. I'm going to wait 1 second. So time.sleep, and wait 1 second. And so now what we've done is cleared the image. Every time the button gets clicked, we're clearing the image. We're going and getting that random coin, waiting a second, and then making that image appear on the image one widget. So now when we flip this on a nice gray background, which matches the gray in the image, it looks a little bit nicer on screen. And every time we flip, you can see the image reappears. Now, when we get the same image, it's clear that the flip function has run. Oh, wow, look at that. We got a whole bunch of heads. There we go. We got a tail. Okay, so that's a working coin flip app. We'll end there and continue with our next app in the next video.